we'll probably just get into it.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got a game to run.
So we've got Nicosar here. I'm Alley Cat.
Yes.
We'll just quickly.
Yeah, we've got. This is Axiom Verge 2.
Did you do the countdown?
Oh, sorry, no. Go. Sorry, I'm just too used to the in-game timer. So this is Axiom Verge 2, sort of a search action Metroidvania game, sequel to Axiom Verge 1, or prequel really. Made by the amazing Thomas Happ. So this first section's a little bit of a cruisy intro. We are playing as Indra Chaudhary, a bored billionaire going through a midlife crisis with an estranged daughter. So, as you do in these situations, you've bought an abandoned research base in Antarctica.
Yeah, you've already done a little save quit there.
Yes. So this game's very kind about saving. You can just save and exit at any time from the menu, and it will keep all of your upgrade progress and all of your sort of permanent destructibles bonuses. Progress. So like any big rocks that have been smashed or whatnot, but it will reset. It'll reset any enemies that you've fought, and it will also reset your position in the world to the most recent save point you were at. At the moment, that's just a tiny little time save here, but later on, that's going to be. It's going to let us do a few things that probably weren't intended.
So we noticed that we talked about speedrun mode. We started it. What are the features of the speedrun timer? Because I can see that when you exit the game, it's still running, kind of thing.
Yes, so the speedrun timer is running essentially whenever you're in speedrun mode, basically just to prevent situations where you're just sitting in the menu forever. When you're playing in speedrun mode, all the cutscenes are taken out of the game, all the dialogue's taken out of the game, and there's no randomized content in the game. So essentially everyone's on a level footing. Very, very handy. It means that when I practice this game, I don't even bother with the splitter because my category's short enough. I don't even need to split. So we've just gone through that little cheery lift through the portal, and
we're no longer in Antarctica.
We are no longer in Antarctica, although Indra might take a while to work that out. So we're just going to go down here. Strictly speaking, this pickup is allowed. Like, you can take it in run, but it's useless for what we want, so we just ignore it. And then that's actually a bad jump. I'm supposed to land a little bit higher, but that's fine. Not much of a time loss. And now we're stuck in some water. This isn't good.
I don't see any way to get out of this water.
So we're just going to accept our inevitable fate and jam up against the wall here. If we've got any time to tell the audience who we are, what we're doing, any donations, now would be great. We've got a little bit where nothing much is happening.
I think we're just resolving the timer
we
because we started without the countdown. I think there was actually a little bit of time save that you had there, just minor amount, right?
Yes, so that's meant to be a long extended sequence where inevitably you get stuck in the water and you drown. You can walk around a fair bit, swim around a fair bit before it's, you give in to the inevitable. But if you jam yourself up against the wall there, just keep on holding right, then you will trigger the drowning state earlier. It's a pretty big time save and pretty easy to do, so yeah. Fortunate there. So now we've come back to life from a save point. We'll be seeing a lot of those in the future. We're full of nanobots now. We don't need to breathe. We can't swim because we're heavier than water. Everything will be fine. I'm sure there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, nothing goes wrong when you, just introduce technology and,
Yeah, in the process, we've met a character called Amashi Lama, who is extremely trustworthy. Definitely nothing shady going on there. I'm not going to get too much into the plot because it's a speedrun mode, and honestly, everyone should play this game. It's a really, really fun little adventure. So spoiling stuff is just going a bit too far. But
so you've just had an item pick up there. It looked a lot like a boomerang, and I noticed that your category is called no boomerang steering. So can you tell me a little bit about what your category is? And
yeah, of course. So the boomerang is a wonderful little tool here. These boomerangs are always kind of fun in video games. In this game, there's an intentional mechanic where if you nudge the directions while the boomerang's in flight, then it will change its trajectory in ways that conventional physics probably wouldn't let you do. It's an intended mechanic, but there are some pretty serious ways you can use it that were probably unintended. You can essentially nudge it to move, not arbitrarily, but pretty far out. And the boomerang itself has no collision with walls and whatnot in the world a lot of the time in that situation. So you can, if boomerang steering as a technique, is more powerful than a lot of things that get led into glitched categories. So glitchless has had a lot of back and forth on it, and ultimately it's not a glitch, like it's perfectly legit for it.
It's
But
an
the no
exploit.
boomerang steering category essentially is there for people who want a slightly cleaner glitchless, if that makes sense, like
We're
a
allowed
glitchless
exploits,
plus.
but not, you know,
Yeah,
not the big exploits.
Or in my case, people who just have been a bit too clumsy to learn how to do it. So yeah, no boomerang steering, also known as no BS, which I always thought was a little bit cute. Yeah, so we're not going to be exploiting any serious glitches or any small ones either. What you can do in those categories is pretty wild. I'd recommend going and looking at like a major glitches run of this game. It won't take much of your time.
So as well as that, we're talking about the category. You're playing on Switch. Is there any difference between Switch and PC?
Very minor, mostly just down to the input idiom. So on the Switch, the direction buttons, they are all considered to be one unitary object, so you can't push up and down at the same time quite as easily as you can, say, on the PC with keyboard.
And that's like just relevant for getting through doors fast?
A few little bits and pieces. Honestly, it's like, you know, I've never played on PC, so I shouldn't speak too much about the, you know, thing that I don't know. But broadly speaking, PC it's a little bit easier to be fast, but it's not meaningfully different. Like, you know, the game runs fine on both of them.
The crash that can happen happens
Oh
on
yes,
both
so there is a
platforms?
crash I need to avoid. I don't know whether it's a crash in the PC version, but if it, like, it's a situation where you've got a dead run even without the game crash, so we're not going to let that happen. So we've just smashed open an urn. And we've picked up hacking. So that's a fun ability in this game where you can just set out this little field of helpful nanites and they'll let you commandeer various devices around the world. You can also hack enemies if they're weak enough, slow them down, sometimes even convert them to fight for you. Yeah, quite useful. And I'm going to... Oh, no, I couldn't. Sometimes you can get lucky and that lion bot's in a patrol route where you can just jump over its head while it turns around and it's got no clue that you're there. But we've gotten through this really, really cleanly. I'm normally much scrappier going through that section, get shot a little bit. So this is an intentional save here. That's going to set us up for a save warp later on. So I mentioned when you save from the menu, like you can save and exit whenever you like from the menu. It's nice and easy. Game will respect any pickups you've had, that sort of thing. But you'll respawn, you don't respawn where you save.
There's a little boss over there.
Oh yeah, there's a boss.
You're not going to fight it?
No, we're not going to fight the boss.
Oh, okay.
That's slow. And I'm just going to try a... Nah. Okay, there's like a frame-perfect time skip there where you can just cancel the urn animation, but, you know, that's all right. So we save and quit here, and we just come back at the save point we saved at. So that's handy. You know, it's faster than walking back all that way, RTA and in-game time, so that's good. However, there's an extra element to saving. So the urn that I've just smashed open has Damu in it. So he's a little drone buddy. I'm going to chuck him out. He's a very good boy. He always does his best.
Yeah.
Yep. And Damu is, yeah, essentially a second character. So the first Axiom Verge had drones. This one has a name. If I save at that save point, cancel out of Damu, and now save back to the title and continue. There we go. Thank you, controller. I just sit a bit closer.
Other reasons to play on keyboard.
Other reasons to play on keyboard. No wireless controllers getting in the way. So now we've come back at the save point as Indra. So when you save it tracks, you know, what state you're in, whether you're controlling Damu or not. But the save points, they don't audit things. They don't go, oh, you know, you saved as Damu here, so we'll always bring you back as Damu. So this is I've just gotten to do a massive sequence break. You know.
And this is the sort of thing you could find in casual play, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
It would be pretty easy to find. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it first got figured out. Yeah, so essentially I've skipped 2 power-ups and a whole zone. And I'm just going to come here, smash this urn, so that will let me climb vertical surfaces. Back to the title. I think... Okay, so if you do that too soon, then you don't actually... Like, if you do it before you've... There we go, I'm good. If you do it before the cancel animation finishes, then you still count as being Damu. So you just got to do this whole thing again.
Damu,
yeah. Which is obviously not good. But that's nice. So with that pickup, I'm now on my way... yeah, we got a little bit of time before we're on the way to probably the first genuinely difficult section of the game. So yeah, if we've got anything that needs reading out right now, it would be a good opportunity.
Yep, awesome. we had $200 from Footy Bash with no comment. And we also had $200 from Francis and William. Thank you so much for that. And just to let everyone know that we are AusSpeedruns doing a speedrun event to raise money for charity. You can go to donate.ausspeedruns.com if you would like to donate. And we also have in person a jar to the left. So if you have any change in your pockets, feel free to donate. It's for a good cause.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Carla.
Everything suddenly looks a little different. What's going on?
So we have entered the breach. It was an sort of essentially a sort of a space between dimensions. It got talked about a bit in the first Axiom Verge, but you never actually got to go there. You can go there now. Yeah, so only Damu can survive in the breach. Anything else, like living, basically just gets torn apart and has a bad time. So it's fortunate we've got him with us. He can do useful things. There are breach portals all around the world. It's essentially a parallel world, you know, similar to, you know, the Dark World in Legend of Zelda, you know, Inverted Castle in, you know, various Castlevania games, that does map one-to-one with locations in the overworld. Oop, I didn't want to hit that fireball, but it should be okay. And now we're about to get one of the most, a very, very nice little quality of life speed upgrade for this game, so the drone grapple. So up till now, movement has pretty much just been on, you know, like what you'd expect just in the course of a casual run. Just run around, you know, jump where you need to. Ooh, okay. Okay, my health is looking quite bad. I might, there we go.
Yep.
So I'm going to take a death here. It's not the end of the world. It is a bit of a time loss compared to just save quitting as soon as I got the power up. I was overconfident, so we'll see how we go. We've
so
got pickup though.
Damu has half the health of Indra? Yep.
Yes.
And that's the blue bar underneath the red one in the top left.
So that purple bar there is my health. The neon green teal bar. Oh boy.
Ooh, okay,
Okay, I'm just going to shut up now.
Yeah. We're good.
Yeah, we're good enough. I'm just going to take it nice and easy here. Just.
Ooh. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. Oh no! Okay, that's bad. I was just a bit bad at managing my health there. So that trilobite urn, you should just be able to bop it 3 times and it dies. So no talking from me for the rest of this.
All right. Do we have anything else from the hosts then, maybe, while Nico concentrates?
Yep, we had $10 come in from Grub Dog, who just says, "Booyah!" Thank you for that donation.
Let's go, Damu.
No,
Okay,
anyway,
we
yeah,
took
I
a
have
hit,
more health,
but
so that's fine.
Yep. And we won't get hit by this guy.
Those pill bugs really will heck you up.
They do a lot of damage.
Okay, so we've got to go up this big shaft here. A little bit of a tricky bit up at that lip there, and okay. Just going to take it nice and easy. Oh, okay, well, I had the health buffer. Not at all clean, but we're good, we're good. We're out of the breach.
All right. We made it. That's
yep,
good.
Made it. All right, back on track. We're going to cancel out of this one, do another save warp so that we get Indra on that platform there. And this is going to be our second big sequence break of the game. And this one makes the other one look small. And this one, amusingly enough, yeah, like all you need is a save warp. Like nothing super, you know, tricky and magical about it.
And also the willingness to throw yourself into,
totally.
you know.
Yep. And we just land ourselves on this little edge here, chuck Damu out, and we should be able to land on top of this tower. And now we are on our way down south to Irikar. So we've basically, up till now, we've effectively skipped one pickup. Here, we're going to go completely off the rails. At this point in the game, you actually shouldn't be able to access this zone until after a pretty significant plot event that changes things a lot. So we've just gone, nah, we don't need that. We're just going to fly off the edge here. Go down, save here, set up another save warp. And down through this little wrecked tower. That spider is, I mean, like...
Spiders, man.
Right now, that spider doesn't matter that much, but we're going to be seeing a lot more of those fellas over the course of this game.
Spider room.
Hope. All right. So that's the second opportunity for a little time save there. Didn't get it, but that's okay. So we've just picked up an item that lets us reveal hidden breach portals. We went through one earlier that's just sitting there out in the open. There are others throughout the game that initially you can't quite see, and you need to use, where are we? Boop, Kinemac to reveal. In this route, you only do it once, but it is a big time save. So we've used that save warp there to get back here. It just saves us having to do a puzzle in second breach section. I fell down too soon. All right. So normally you're expected to sort of enter a breach portal right where I did that pickup, go through a big exploring loop thing, but instead you can just go to a second breach portal up here, and here's your reward for that. So now we got wings. Damu can now hover, and this one is huge. This lets you do so much, like a huge amount of speed, as long as you can drive it carefully. You do get a slight elevation when you first activate it, but it also just lets you prolong your jump distances enormously.
Shout outs to the Slinky.
Oh yeah,
enemy.
that Slinky is the best enemy. Such a fun little guy. However, the big thing that makes hover nice is that when you use the grappling hook, it lets you gain more speed than is possible to get otherwise. And once you're in hover mode, it will preserve your current speed. Yeah, okay, health is looking a bit bad here.
No? Or do you need the save warp?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, okay.
There wasn't a save point there.
Wasn't it?
I don't
I
think
saw
there
a
was.
pedestal. Well, the speedrunner just doesn't see them.
Oh, well.
Here's another of the bosses that we're going to ignore.
Yeah. That's the one boss in the game that might slightly threaten you in this route, because you are on screen for a fair bit. Like, you're usually safe, but sometimes it can just decide it wants to shoot you a bit earlier than it might otherwise. Oh. All right, lovely. Oh no, whoops. So yeah, the problem with that little bit is if you keep on hovering, you run into the wall because you haven't fallen down enough, so you lose your momentum. That's okay. So very important not to get shot here, and there are a bunch of little artillery dudes taking pot shots at me that I really don't want to get bopped by, because if I die here, it will be quite costly. Good, we're fine. So now I've got a fast travel pickup. So this game has a pretty convenient fast travel system. Essentially, save warping is going to become a bit less relevant because now we can just warp. Any room that has a save point in it, if you've ever visited the room, you can see it on the map, then you can just fast travel to it now. So that's very handy. I've just gone into that room there to set up a future fast travel to return there. Now I'm going to very briefly sort of do some sequence backtracking. Need to get an item, essentially a bomb, that I skipped when I got the early step access. Lovely. So we're going to go underwater. You got to have a water level. That's just the rules. I'm going to stay out of the water as long as I can. Try not to get too badly mauled by... Okay, good. The spinny wheel hit me with collision damage, which does not much damage, as opposed to its electric blast, which is like 3/4 of my health. And we're just going to go through here. That's another boss, strictly speaking. We're not going to fight it. It will ruin us if we try. Also, it will be slow. So the hover is an interesting thing because in like intended logic, you're not meant to be able to get it until after you've already gotten like a gravity suit upgrade that lets you move freely in water. So it isn't really affected by being underwater the same way. So that's good. And now we've got a bomb, which is going to be handy for a few little obstacles. There are some later points in the game as well where you can use it to be a bit of a combat assistance, but ideally you don't want to do any combat in this route. We'll see whether or not I'm able to handle that.
So we've returned to this same spot that you were just in earlier.
Yes, and so Damu's done his job. I'm going back to controlling Indra because she's the only one who can use the bomb, and she's the only one who can climb vertical walls, both of which we need right now. Hop up here. Try and avoid this little bomb. It's not the end of the world if it hits me, just a small like time loss from getting bopped. So the shockwave makes that little piece of rock fall down, gets us access to this area.
And it costs quite a bit of your nanites,
Yes.
which was something which we didn't quite complete talking about
No,
earlier. So that teal bar.
Yeah, nano points. So they're used for bombs, they're used for hacking. Only 2 points in this route where the cost is relevant. Okay, I didn't get that, but that's fine. There's a little trick where you can just chuck Damu straight up onto that platform, but that's all right. Didn't get killed either, which is it has happened to me before.
All right, so this is an important spot.
Yep. So once again, this is just a case where we do the save warp, so we can move Indra here, a place where she'd otherwise be able to get, because she can't fly. So, in terms of actual like game progress, we're probably at about the 2/3 mark within the game's plot.
Except we haven't had some significant plot
No,
triggers,
we've
yeah.
skipped a plot thing that does a lot. We'll get to that later. Going to pick up some armor because from this point on, the enemies get quite a bit nastier, do a lot more damage. Ah, well.
Spiders,
We're going to
man.
slow these spiders down. And that costs, 50 nano points each. And now we go up here. So this is not the fastest way to do this, but I simply, the fastest way is beyond my reach at this point. It's amazing, the tower, bridge skip effectively, bridge hover. I'm just going to go down here. Lovely.
Always new things to aspire to in speedrunning.
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone who's played Axiom Verge 1, this is the section of the game where things are a little more familiar. Up till now, it's all been very... Oh, I always get turned around there. Up till now, it's always been very... everything's a bit different. Everything's much more sort of primitive, like down to earth. But now everything is... Like, you're going to see some familiar devices. Some, like, those little drones we just went by. They're very similar to the remote drone that you use in the first Axiom Verge. And indeed, the right now the game's playing essentially a rearrangement of the first game's title theme. So, yeah.
So, like, the relationship between the first and second game, like, would I want to have played the first one?
You don't need to have, but it would add a little more flair to Mitts. So, essentially, this is a prequel set, depending on your point of view, either about 20 years or, like, before, or a few thousand years before, or about, like, 50 years after Axiom Verge 1.
Okay.
It's complicated. Time moves weirdly in the breach. You won't see, there are no direct characters involved in both of them in terms of the games until, well, sort of. Yeah. Saying much more than that would be spoilery, but you definitely benefit from having played the first game to play this.
Certainly. Yeah.
And it's an amazing game as well, so you should probably just play that on general principles. All right, so now we've brought Indra back in here because we need her to enable another handy-dandy trick. So we're going to run past some things. Oh yeah, those will be not at all suspicious. Like, that's fine.
Not suspicious.
Nothing weird or dangerous
Everything is
about
fine.
those chambers there. All right, so Damu's now going to go into this little portal. So at the point in the game where you're intended to be, progression-wise, you actually shouldn't have two separate characters. You should at this point be controlling one character. So this warp is, meant to be like a, you've got to go in the door and then you've got to go back out the door later on. But because of how we've managed to do that exploit, we've skipped a power-up that combines you into two, like essentially a person who can mode shift between drone and human form. So that means that being able to cancel Damu is something that the game's logic didn't actually account for when designing this sections. So that's not amazing. That's all right. So instead of, like, normally after you've got to hack this thing, you just got to. That's necessary. Normally you'd have to walk through a door. Now we can just cancel the drone and, oh look, we're back here. So that saves a lot of time.
So was that us hacking the...
We hacked the planet.
We hacked the planet?
We hacked the system.
The universe? Okay, it's spider room time, so I'm going to shut up.
Yep. So this room's very hard. I'll just... Oh, boy!
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, of course, I got my eye on the spider and hit the grenade, so...
All right. We just need to wait for Damu to recharge.
I'm not quite ready to do the YOLO Indra strat, so I'm just going to give it another shot with Damu. Cool. Okay, we're good.
Okay, so those bouncing balls are actually really quite terrifying because the damage that you then take after
their direct damage isn't amazing, but they disable your grappling hook. Oh, crap.
This looks nasty.
Okay, we're good, we're good.
Yeah.
So this room, that gunship will wreck you if you do anything but run mindlessly forward. And if you run mindlessly forward, you're safe. You can move faster than it. So that's a slightly scuffed spider room, but that room is really, really mean. I've died so many times there.
Safe enough that we don't need to worry about saving there.
Yeah, that's completely unnecessary.
Excellent.
We're all good.
Yep.
There's no enemies before we need to do a safe warp.
Just a little more hacking.
Yep, a little more hacking. Just get that door open. And now we're going up to get an item called a breach attractor. That will be a red flag for anyone who's played the first game. Here it's just a handy-dandy tool. you can use it to move the breach portals around because sometimes they're not in the right place, and you want them to be somewhere more convenient.
So how do they move? Where do they go to?
Well, normally, once again, we're in a situation where the game at this point is assuming that you have one player entity, but we have two. Indra and Damu are two separate player entities. When you use the breach attractor, it will pull breach portals towards your player. In this case, it pulls them equally towards both Damu and Indra, so that'll let us do some very interesting things later on. So this is our final visit to the breach. Essentially back in the breach version of the starting world. And I'm a little slow on my hacking there, so I'm just going to play it nice and safe with my health. These laser drones, the laser does huge damage, the drone body does like nothing.
Would now be okay for me to read a donation?
Yes, it would be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, so we had $20 come in from Superhero, who says, shoutouts to Cure Cancer for all they do for cancer research and uniting the gaming community behind this cause. Thank you so much for that donation. And we also had $50 from Graps, who says, Green Spyro please from the Enforcers. So now that donation is getting put towards the Spyro 2 speedrun happening later today to make Spyro green. And that puts his color in the lead. You can also bid to have him purple, black, blue, yellow, red or pink. If you would like to see Spyro any of those colors, get your donations in. Thank you, everyone.
That was looking a bit dicey there.
A little dicey there, so I took a safety save, mostly just for the health. So that Death Star used to give me a huge amount of problems until I realized you can just hover immediately after grappling, and it's like 100% reliable. All right, so now it's breach tractor time. This is going to look a bit... Actually, this is going to look a bit weird. Don't worry about it. That portal's going to move, and we just get to go into it. You have to be very precise about where you set Indra up to make that work. Otherwise, it'll just sort of go off into the middle of nowhere, and you'll be sad, and you're wondering why it's not working.
It's like when you order like takeaway and it just never arrives.
Yeah, your geolocation's just wrong. They think you're in the wrong city. All right, so now we've managed to find ourselves in essentially a room with the final power-up of the game. So smash this urn, and we're going to get a nanite cloud. So we can just turn into mist now. We can fly. We can go through gratings. The flying's very slow. We don't actually use it for that. But yeah, we can go through otherwise impassable barriers. Generally the last intended power-up in the game. So we're now on our way to an encounter with, the very last encounter in the game. I would say it's technically, you could say it's an encounter with the final boss, only, yeah. So this game has, in standard routing, 2 forced boss fights, both against the same person. However, whether or not the boss turns up is tied in game logic to a power-up that we have managed to skip. So there was an earlier room we went into where it's meant to be like you're stuck fighting an invincible enemy for 30 seconds or so that we didn't have. And we're going to feel a similar experience here. Oops. So we go through that little grate there, chuck Damu down, because that's another relevant thing. This is all on Damu from this point on. So normally, you're expected to go down in here. There's a big crisis because a super weapon's been stolen and you need to stop it. Ideally by setting off a big bomb so it can't go through a portal and destroy everything. Didn't get that, that's okay. So you activate the bomb by hacking or flipping the switches on 4 of these little vats of goo. Yeah, fill up the big one in the middle. Normally when you hack the first one, the boss turns up and goes, no, you're not going to do that, and goes to ruin you. But the boss just doesn't going to spawn. So, a martial armor's asleep at the wheel. We're just going to cancel out of Damu here, and we're going to skip the entire Metroidvania escape sequence. Goodbye, we're done. So time will be basically when we bring up the next screen, and time. There we go. Okay, that estimate was about right then.
We had a few deaths. Well, you only died as Damu, which doesn't count.
Yeah.
So there is always one obligatory
forced death,
which is when you're drowning at the start.
So, yeah, no, that's Axiom Verge 2. No boomerang steering. Yeah, really, it's a great game to play through casually. A really fun speed game too. Lots of interesting little movement bits and pieces. Yeah, please go and check it out. Play it. It's cool.
And yeah, did you have any shout-outs that you wanted to make?
Yeah, no, just a big shout-out to all of the Axiom Verge community, especially people who sort of talked me through learning how to run this game. So Maragon, Shroomy Ralsafe, Feathers, and just moral support as well. Like, you know, so many other cool people there. Chris is super awesome. Tall Girl Vanessa, like, thank you so much for like showing me like yeah, everyone can run this game, and like even if you've sort of written it off, it's always worth getting back into. And yeah, just all the other cool people there, Sabera, Olof. Yeah, it's just been really great getting to hang out with people who love these games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to ASM for having me. I hope everyone's having a great PAX. There's so much more cool stuff ahead of us today. Like, yeah.
We get to see so many more cool games
Yeah.
that people are passionate about, and that's the best thing about PAX.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll leave you to it. Yeah, have a great PAX.
Thank you so much for that Axiom 2 speedrun. Up next, we're going to be having Pokemon Sword and Shield 80% race, so no one go away. That'll be up soon. $25 donation coming from Pronto, who puts it towards the Pokemon Sword and Shield name incentive for it to be Pronto. So the name Pronto is now in the lead by $5 over Zuma. So if you're wanting a name to give a name to the main Pokemon that's going to be used for the majority of the run, for the run just coming up, get your donations in. And I'd like to just let everyone know that we have some prizes that you can win in the audience today, and for those who are watching within Australia. These prizes include an Elgato Streamer pack, which consists of an Elgato Stream Deck and a Wave 3 microphone. We're also giving away plenty of games, including 3 physical copies of Sonic Origins Plus, provided by 5 Star Games, 2 digital copies of Speaking Simula by Affable Games, and 10 digital copies of Dash Bounce by Delicious Software. To enter the pool for these prizes, a minimum donation of $100 is required, but even as little as $5 could see you into winning some of the prizes that we have on offer. If you'd like more information about it, feel free to go to our AusSpeedruns website, and hope you will enjoy more of the event. we had $15 come in from Neo, who says, please name the main Pikachu. So now the name Pikachu is in the lead by $1. So get your donations in if you'd like it to be a different name. Thank you, everyone. Hello everyone and welcome back. Let's get ready for up next. We have Pokemon Sword and Shield Race, 80% with DLC, with Freefy and GL Phoenix. Take it away.